Dear students, how are you? This is my second lecture of organizational behavior, that is advanced organizational behavior under module 1 OB model and development. In first lecture you have seen nature and scope of organizational behavior, but this lecture you will see development of organization behavior. What are the contribution of the different theorists like as F.W. Taylor, Douglas McGregor, Max Weber, Henry Fayol, different theorists, those who have contributed a lot through their experiment, through their researches. They have defined the different structure, different norms which defines the modern organizational behavior. By name itself, it is very much clear. Advanced organizational behavior not only covers basics, that covers advanced part and the application of organizational behavior, diversity, equity, inclusion, organizational politics, organizational citizenship behavior, several things to be studied under this advanced organizational behavior. But today, especially this lecture, second lecture of OB model and development, that is development of organizational behavior, again we need to study how Henry Fayol contributes, what is contribution, how Henry Fayol contributes, how F.W. Taylor contributes, what are the specific domain of F.W. Taylor, Douglas McGregor. So these are all the things to be studied. Coming to the next agenda, early foundation and classical theories, late 19th century, early 20th century, human relation movement 1930s to 1950, behavioral science approach 1940 to 1960, modern organizational behavior 1970 at present. Now see, this agenda defines exactly in different point of time how organizational behavior and structure have been changed. Early foundation like as late 19th century, early 20th century, beginning of 20th century, F.W. Taylor and his contribution we need to study. You will be seeing that what is contribution, human relation movement, behavioral science approach, modern organizational behavior, all these things to be clearly defined this particular lecture. See, late 19th century, one of the famous personality, F.W. Taylor, who contributes huge issues, address huge issues, define very categorically what exactly functioning of organization, what would be the structure of management. He defined different issues of science which is applicable in management, that is so-called scientific management. Now see, Taylor focus, labor productivity is possible once we know the time and motion study by standardized tasks. Different example are there basically, time and piece rate system, different issues of what way motion to be clarified, motion to be studied so that we can improve the efficiency of individual. He said there is no rule of thumb. Every point you need to create new benchmark. What his contribution exactly? He said efficiency and productivity is possible through task specialization, scientific methods of management. What is it exactly? Task specialization. That means we need to offer the job to the particular person, those who are specialized, and try to adopt the science, and his scientific management is very much popular, which we studied basically in 1916. Now see what is the key contribution and the impact of F.W. Taylor. Now see what is said, maximum efficiency is possible if we apply the mechanistic approach. This is very important. If we apply the mechanism or different modern techniques, definitely efficiency of the labor is possible. But one of the drawbacks of his contribution, he has not given more attention to human behavior. But what we learn from F.W. Taylor basically, he said apply mechanism, apply science, apply modern techniques which can improve the efficiency of the people knowingly, unknowingly, by changing the behavior of individual. But we have not specially focused on human behavior. Administrative theory, it is also one of the great innovation late 19th century given by Henry Fayol. His 14 principles of management, some of things I am mentioning like as division of work, authority, discipline, unit of command, these are all the things basically whatever we are seeing now, structure. 14 principles of management ultimately that leads the behavior of individual as well as groups. In 1916, the contribution by Henry Fayol, if you make comparison by today, you can see that modern organization scientifically, more influentially, they have followed the principles of management given by Henry Fayol. His key contribution is like that: organizational structure and management functions like as planning, organizing and controlling. He clearly defined exactly what would be the structure of organization and also clearly narrated what would be the management functions, planning, organizing and controlling. That Henry Fayol and his contribution in organization behavior is more dominant nowadays, and one example like as structure of organizations, which structure to be followed. One structure is not enough, structure has to be changed frequently. If you do not have any specific structure, how do you change the structure? So, modern management or so called frequently changing structure, that is contributed by Henry Fayol. Now see more contribution in the beginning of 20th century, that is Hawthorne experiment. It is one of the experiment which was conducted in Chicago, USA to 1920-24 to 1932 at the Western Electricity Company, which is the turning point of OB, organization behavior. What is stated basically? He said that productivity improved not just because of physical conditions, but because of workers were more motivated by social factors, attention and interpersonal relationship. Not only physical factors, some other factors are important, which is very, I think that different types of studied, I think 1924 to 1932 it is the benchmark study in the field of management, which has been done by Alton Mayo, whereas lot of which is called as the Hawthorne experiment has great impact on modern management. So, modern practices of quality of work life, modern practices of work life balance, it is basically the outcome of Alton Mayo contribution Hawthorne experiment. Now, how this thing affect on OB? It is one of the benchmarking context basically. If you have followed the contribution by F.W. Taylor, which is given in the year 1911, what is said basically, mechanistic approach is very important for improving efficiency, performance like that, whereas individual attention is not much important. But here that man, Alton Mayo, said human needs, understanding human needs in the workplace is more important rather mechanistic approach. So, OB actually we can align the contribution of Alton Mayo with the modern organization behavior. See some more contributor, Maslow hierarchy needs 1943. He is also one of the pioneer personality in the field of understanding basic psychological needs to self-actualization. This much important, what kind of need are there basically, which is hierarchy of needs. So, basic needs are very important, then we can move to the self-actualization. His work profoundly impacted the understanding of employee motivation and behavior in organization. He said clearly, try to understand what is basic needs of individual employees and what is the next demand of individual. So, ultimately that impact on behavior of organization. Now, this particular theory suggests us that human being or employees not only working in organizations for their basic needs, their needs also some higher level. Ultimately that may lead employee satisfaction and performance. So, being a student of organization behavior, you must be knowing exactly the modern organization behavior that has not come within a week, within a month, within a year, that has been dressed by different group of people at different point of time by contributing, by doing some kind of research, whereas now we are seeing the modern phase of organizational behavior. More things are there like as mid of 20th century theory X and Y, Douglas MacGregor. They are all theorists basically, those who have contributed a lot to understand exactly what kind of factors are there basically so that people may work in particular organization. 1960 theory of X and Y, what is the role of motivating employees? Theory X assumes that workers are inherently lazy, needs to be controlled, whereas Y assumes that workers are self-motivated, capable of responsibility. That means X people needs some kind of motivation. If people are lazy basically, they may behave in different way. If people are happy and people are self-motivated, they will behave in different way. Ultimately that may lead operational or organizational efficiency of particular organization. Now see, out of this theory what we learned that revolutionized management styles and shifted the focus to understanding employee motivation and empowerment, which is very important part modern age of organization. We have seen the different styles of management, different leadership styles. Now we are seeing, we have also different lecture on the particular cases. Employee motivation, understanding employee motivation and empowerment, that because of X people are there, every organizations you can find X people as well as Y people. Then what to do basically? X people to be discarded? No. X people has to be motivated, X people has to be empowered. So this is also important part of development of organizational behavior. Now see Herzberg two-factor theory 1959, most important. Friedrich Herzberg proposed the two-factor theory in 1959, which identified motivators like as achievement, recognition, work itself. That is two different factors, motivational factors and the hygiene factors. Hygiene factors are like that salary, working conditions, company policies. That particular research identified two different contexts which is much powerful nowadays. Achievement, recognition, work itself is termed as identified factors, and salary, working conditions, company policies called as the hygiene factors. Now see, all are not the factors of motivation. Few factors are hygiene, few factors are motivation, recognition, achievement. His research concluded that job satisfaction and dissatisfaction were influenced by different factors. It is very important part. I think in OB, organization behavior, we will be discussing exactly sense of job satisfaction. What are the different factors which affect on job satisfaction positively, negatively, and satisfied employees, what their role in the organization, what exactly they can contribute, what would be the employee outcome. If satisfied, employees are satisfied, then we can expect different types of job outcomes from employees. Like as we can expect commitment, we can expect external behavior, we can expect great citizenship behavior. So, what is the learning point of Herzberg two-factor theory? We must focus on job design and work environment impact motivation and satisfaction. That means you just design the job such a manner, so that will create some kind of motivation in the mind of employees, in the mind of other group of people. So this is the contribution of Herzberg two-factor theory. System theory is much important. That is one of the personality which is much important. The theory given in 1968, which is called as a system theory, that defines leadership style, task complexity, organizational structure must be aligned for optimal effectiveness. That means create a system, align all kind of activities, leadership, task complexity, organizational structure, three different contexts. You just align all kind of things, three different things that may create some kind of system which may lead the performance of organization. Now see what is the key theory of this particular system. This is like that, if the system is not correlated, systems are not intact, systems are not interdependent, we may have different types of instability, different types of negative aspect of organizations. We can find, for example, withdrawal behavior, we can find some kind of organizational instability, we can find some kind of practice of cynicism, we can see some practice of ostracism. Since different aspect of organizations, it is not aligned properly. Some people may misuse the power and some other things. So this is also one of the main contribution given by system theory. Now see contingency theory, Fiedler contingency theory, Fred Fiedler contingency theory is also very important concept. There is no one best way to manage. Effective management depends on situational factors. Identify keep yourself ready exactly to to understand what kind of probable contingency in coming days. So, once you know that particular contingency may arise, particular situation may arise, then you can use yourself and you can give the best. His theory suggests no best way to manage. There is no particular things are there through which we can manage particular object. What to do that particular cases? This contingency theory challenge the idea of universal management practices, stress that different situations require different approach to leadership, decision making and organizational structure. That means you just equip your employees so that you can face any kind of situation, any kind of contingency. So, behavior likely to be changed, individual behavior likely to be changed, group behavior likely to be changed. If you have the capacity to understand situation so that you can behave in active manner. Now see modern era, 1980 at present. What is the modern era basically? 1980 and beyond, there are so many development are there basically across discipline like as sociology, economics and organizational structure, so many development. Like as organizational culture is now more important, positive organizational behavior is very important, leadership, followership is important, globalization and cross-cultural management is important, the rise of emotional intelligence, diversity, equity, inclusions, ethics and corporate social responsibility. I think modern era is entirely different. That is defined by different authors, different thinkers in different way, and they said we need to develop a very unique organizational culture of any organizations so that they will be different, they will be distinct, they will be personally different from others. Their identity will be different. So, this is the development 1980 onwards. Positive organizational behavior is very important. Positive organizational behavior is very important. The behavior of individual and groups, there is some negative behavior also there, but there is some positive behavior also. We need to focus on positive behavior. Leadership followership is very important. There are different types of leadership. Now, modern organization behavior defines the servant leadership is very important, that every leader must be a servant. So many things are developed as far as application, because modern approach of organizational behavior define different context, different issues like as organizational citizenship behavior, organizational politics, diversity, equity, inclusions. They said these are all the sum of things are emerged. We need to equip ourselves to understand this kind of philosophy. Now, see, these are all the people, those who have contributed a lot, key theorists in organizational behavior, those who are the main person, starting from Taylor, Mayo, McGregor, Douglas McGregor, Abraham Maslow, Henry Fayol, Friedrich Herzberg, Adams, John, Stacey Adams, Victor Brooms. These are all the people basically, those who have contributed a lot in the field of modern organization behavior. Some of questions I have designed basically, whatever I have just lectured you people, you can clarify more by seeing the books, because 30 minutes of duration is not enough to see exactly development of OB. Some of snapshot is given to you. What are the key contribution of Friedrich tailored scientific management to organizational behavior is very important to understand. Once you follow the lecture, you will have some kind of clue. Just prepare yourself. How did the human relation movement change the way of managers that treat workers? Once again, how did the human relation movement change the way managers treat workers? What way human relation movement? As I told the preceding lecture, different authors have contributed different things. Managers also change their mindset to treat their workers. Then third number, who introduced the hierarchy of needs theory and how does it explain employee motivation? Need hierarchy theory already I have explained basically. You can follow this particular part, definitely you will have the answer. Key themes of organizational behavior which involved in the 80s and beyond become central in the modern era. That means in modern practices of organizational behavior, what kind of changes are there basically, who have contributed a lot. Some references are there, you can see that books that will help you for deeper learning. Thank you.